Thrice, a horror movie podcast brought to you by Sinister Siblings, where we review a horror movie not once, not twice, but thrice, to see what comes from repeat viewings and share our thoughts with you, dear listener. I'm Adam. Joining me are co-hosts Mark.
Hello.
And Tracy.
Hello.
This episode, we're dusting off our habits, we're clutching our rosaries, and we're killing babies because we're dealing with the third trimester of Immaculate.
It's a good thing we put that into context.
Yes.
So, yes, obviously you're listening to the third part of the podcast, but yes, just to recap, the way our podcast works is we watch a movie 3 times to see what we can uncover through the repeated viewings. The first time we make our review based just on our own impressions from the trailer and what we saw in the film. The second time round is when we sort of review it, obviously, once we've had a chance to discuss it amongst ourselves. So sort of an internal feedback loop. And then the third time is once we bring in some external information as well. So that's where we're heading at the moment. But Trace, do you want to just recap for everybody the details of Immaculate?
Yeah, sure. So I thought I would give you Wikipedia's version of what Immaculate entails.
Yes.
So Immaculate is a 2024 American nunsploitation horror film directed by Michael Mohan, and written by Andrew Lobel. It stars Sydney Sweeney, who also produced, Alvaro Morte, or Mort, maybe not Morte.
I would reckon.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Benedetta Porcaroli, and other cast. The plot focuses on a young novice nun, Sydney, who is invited to reside at a picturesque Italian convent, but slowly realises the terrifying secrets it harbours.
Yes. Probably that time to remind everyone again that there's spoilers aplenty in our conversation, which is obviously not just for this film, but we will potentially talk about some other films that may have influenced this one or films that this one reminds us of. So they can, so be mindful there are some spoilers.
Yes. We bring in the spoilers. I speak Italian for the rest of the episode.
Okay.
I'm not sure how long that'll last.
Immaculate.
Very good.
Is it good?
Very good. Good accent there. Molto bene.
Hey.
Molto bene.
All right, moving along. We have just finished our third viewing, so it's time to start bringing the goods for this third trimester as we deliver.
Nice. I like that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's the thing. So the last 2 times that we've watched it, just to do a little bit of a recap, we were giving it a rating of nun habits out of 10. So Adam was very consistent, and Adam had 7.5 nun habits for both viewings out of 10. Mark started with an 8 out of 10, and then on a subsequent viewing decided he didn't actually give a proper figure, actually. He didn't. You just said under 8.
Oh.
Yes, that's true.
People need to know.
Oh, look, it's at a 7. I think it's a solid 7.
Oh, it dropped a whole point.
Yeah, I think it did.
Dropped a whole point. Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see later on in this conversation where it ended. For me, I started on an 8 and went down to a 7.5. So, yeah, with this third trimester, I sort of found a couple of new things, which surprised me. But what did you guys think? What about you, Adam?
I didn't like it as much this time. I don't know. Maybe I'll find this throughout the course of doing this podcast, but I feel like there's very few movies out in the world that I enjoy watching multiple times. I still think it's a decent movie. But yeah, I started to feel more holes in it. I felt like I started to notice the jump scares in it that were just sort of in there for scare's sake, not really in service to the story at all.
Was that because I was jumping at all of them? For some reason today I was like jumping all over the place.
Well, that was a plus actually. I'd forgotten how gory it is. It's pretty gory,
yes.
pretty, in unexpected sort of sporadic ways, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, I'm contradicting myself a little bit. But yeah, you start to see it. You peel back the layers and you sort of see how much of it is like just sort of in there for the scares and not necessarily for the cohesive whole, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess that's playing into the whole genre. Like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
right. There's
you want
probably so
jump
many
scares.
movies that are like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And when you watch it the first time, you're like, sweet, this is cool and scary. You don't really think much of it. But,
Yeah, no, I think what I found this time was in terms of like goriness and things like that, when, you know, some of the nuns who aren't playing ball are killed off, it was kind of a bit jarring because a lot of them, I guess in some ways it was quite biblical, some of the ways that they were killed. But in other times...
Well, you almost expected a stoning at some point, didn't you?
Yeah. But then in other ways, I thought, well, if this is really, you know, so coming back to the storyline, you know, they're basically trying to invoke their own Immaculate Conception through science. So I just thought, wouldn't you just, if somebody's given you the irrits, wouldn't you just like, I don't know, shoot them? Or maybe like stab them? I thought a bit over the top to bury someone alive. I thought that's a bit OTT.
Actually, just on that, yeah, you're talking about the opening scene where we see an unrelated young woman at the convent trying to flee, terrified.
Yeah.
And she gets up, getting her arm broken as she tries to escape through the fence and gets her leg broken and gets like buried alive, and then opening credits. So I had kind of forgotten that scene, and I started to think, we the viewer already know that this convent is a dangerous place. And I started to think what a different movie this would be without that scene.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of better without that scene, because then you're kind of
wondering.
You're kind of lost, like Sydney is, like what's going on. But with that scene, you're like, she needs to be afraid. These people are bad news. We already know that off the bat.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
No, it's valid. I mean, you think, because I know I said last time around, it sort of reminded me a little bit of Suspiria. And it's that same sort of thing, like when Jessica Harper turns up at the ballet school and she sees the girl fleeing in panic and stuff. It's already that something's askew, isn't it?
I guess, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And yet it doesn't, it doesn't hurt that movie. Because there's supposed to be an element of confusion or uncertainty on Cecilia's part, at least, about what's going on here. Whereas we know that they're sus.
Yeah, I guess initially though you don't know what they're doing or why she would be in particular danger.
Yeah, that's true.
So you don't quite know the context or who within the convent. Is it everybody or is it just those people? Like you just don't know exactly.
Yeah, well, I saw an interview with the director. I think it was on the Blu-ray actually, and he was talking about. He was quoting Wes Craven, and where Wes Craven said the first monster that the audience needs to be afraid of is the director, because the audience need to be afraid that the director could do anything, and puts the audience, makes them unsettled at the very beginning. So I think he was really keen to have an unsettling scene pre-credits, so that people didn't have a smooth entry into the film. I guess that you already were asking those questions. What is happening? Who is that? What is going on? And so I think it's delivered from that side of things.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. It unbalances you straight away. It gets your nerves jangling straight away.
Yeah, it's a cool opening. I just started to think about how you'd take the movie if that wasn't in there, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I suppose it would be a different viewing, but I think it would take a long time because really after that scene, it's quite a while before anything unsettling really happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's sort of overtures of sort of like, I guess sort of sinister, there you go, like sinister vibes, like just sort of, she's very other as well because everybody's speaking Italian, so she's got that otherness to her, and it's just, it does seem very, what?
That's something else I noticed. She makes no attempt to speak Italian. She's got the Italian book in her suitcase, but she doesn't even say, Buongiorno, or I don't speak Italian in Italian, or anything like that.
She asked the driver on the way there how long it's going to be. She asks that in Italian.
Yeah.
And I think you might be right. I think that might be all she ever does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like I said, like in one of the previous episodes, in the very beginning where she's at customs and they ask her in Italian, do you speak Italian? Like parlo italiano, which is quite a basic phrase for someone learning Italian. And she's just like blank. But then they say something quite complex and she's like, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it was a bit
I guess it's to make her. It's probably used to drill home, as you say. She's other. She's lost. She's sort of all at sea there. Like,
yeah. So it's yeah. I think in terms of anything new spotted in this viewing, or new ideas that have sort of come up for me, I think really. Oh, there's a car alarm. I don't know if you can hear that. I think it was, again, just other questions that have sort of circulated for me before. So at one point, I don't know what he was. Was he a priest or something? The man who was running the experiments.
It was Father someone.
Father Tedeschi.
Yeah.
Father Tedeschi.
Yeah.
So he'd said straight out the gate, he's talking about how he spent the first 20 years of his career being a scientist, working in biology. And so it got me thinking, because some of the older nuns in the convent have scarring on their feet. So they've obviously been test subjects for trying to get pregnant. So that means that somebody else must have been doing the testing when they were around.
Not him the whole time.
Not him the whole time, because he's just not old enough.
Oh, interesting.
Was there look.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to throw something crazy at you. You ready to get super deep?
Of course.
Deeper. I'm always ready to go deeper.
So Tedeschi, the name Tedeschi actually is Italian for from Germany. Person from Germany.
Father Tedeschi?
Yes, Tedeschi means
From Germany.
someone from Germany.
Okay.
So when you look at Nazi scientists, experimentation,
Yes.
is there a little bit, is it just accidental? Or is there no such thing as an accident in these things when you've literally called the mad doctor
Yeah.
Tedeschi, meaning he's from someone from
Obviously.
Germany
Yeah.
who's doing experiments on pregnant people?
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's anything? You reckon coincidence? Do you reckon there's something more to it?
Oh,
What do you mean? He's like,
Did they choose to name him that because
they're making a Nazi.
they're
sort of
making a bit of a
reference.
thing in there?
I thought you were making like some kind of fan fiction where it's like, yeah, he's actually immortal through some kind of evil Nazi science.
No,
And
but
it's
more
like,
have they given him that name?
well,
Oh.
Because,
maybe in-house it was a little bit of a wink.
well, because keeping in mind too, this film came around in that time of the Roe versus Wade decision being overturned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was very much, there's that body autonomy thing we've discussed previously in this.
yeah.
I'm wondering, is this a subtle dig to that, or that they're talking about mad doctors experimenting on women? Is there that in there? Because, I mean, when you, look, it's just me, I guess, but when you hear that they've named a crazy doctor literally someone from Germany.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about the naming of him as from Germany, but I think there's definitely, because throughout history, the church has always been very strongly affiliated with government, or, back in the Middle Ages, it was the government. So you could look at it, the government, sort of doing medical experiments on particularly, sections of society who have no say in what goes on.
Well, it's interesting because the director, there was an interview with Fangoria, and the director said there that he didn't want anyone to think that he'd made a film with a message in it. However, in another interview, he said that the movie speaks to this particular moment in time.
Okay, so you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Like, it's, It's,
No.
So I think he didn't want to overtly say, well, yeah, that's what we're talking about. But yeah,
Yeah.
that second interview was actually on the Blu-ray, where he talks about being a moment in time. So
I don't want to make a movie with a message, but if you want to read that into it, be my guest.
yeah,
Yeah.
if that just happens, it just happens.
Yeah, should that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't, but that is valid though. But you can't make a movie with this kind of subject matter and not have people's interpretations. It's all incredibly loaded. Like you say, it's body autonomy, it's religion, it's abortion. These are all incredibly loaded subjects that people are going to sort of bring to the table when they view it.
Yeah.
So to say, I didn't want to make a movie with a message is kind of washing your hands of what you're playing in. Anyway, yeah.
But it's interesting too, because when you're talking about things, you notice. I was actually looking a bit closer at Father Tedeschi this time round. And I think it's interesting because with a movie villain, you've kind of got two. You've got the wild villain, but then the villain I prefer is the one like Father Tedeschi, which is that villain who genuinely believes that they're right. So it's not like they're out of step with the rest of society. He's actually saying, this is my life's calling. This is what I'm here to do. He firmly believes in what he's up to. And I think that's a lot scarier. I actually think the actor played that really, really well because he was so adamant, that this is what needed to be done and whatever sacrifices were involved with it along the way were necessary for what he felt was truly his life's calling.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Everybody in it...
So can you even call him a villain? He didn't have malicious intent.
Well, he was still doing bad stuff. He was doing stuff he knew that he shouldn't be doing.
Yes, okay.
Because he was keeping it under the...
True.
I'm sure there's a biblical or religious reference. He was keeping it under his cloak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know. There's something better than that.
Yeah.
Let me know if you can think of
The
something.
fun of live podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to say, which was the sound in this film. There's a lot of great use of the music. So you've got the discordant sort of music. You've got the beautiful religious songs. And then also the sound effects. So particularly it struck me. So, and I guess it's also in relation to Sydney or Sister Cecilia being pregnant. And so at one point, she throws up a tooth, like her own tooth. And, she then, at another point, one of her fingernails is coming off and the squelching noises are quite evocative. You really felt that fingernail coming off.
Recreate it for us, Joe.
I don't think I can, dear Adam. Okay. I don't think I can. I have many talents, but that's not one. But what it reminded me of was, so you've got this baby that's not being conceived, quote unquote, naturally, who is basically feeding off the mother. So it's all babies are feeding off their mums, but in a negative way. So it's like with Rosemary's baby, how, she's sort of taking all of these herbal sort of supplements and things. And, I think she starts eating, I don't know if she starts eating raw something. Yeah. And then, of course, it made me think of Twilight. So when Bella has the vampire baby inside her, that starts I don't know if you've seen the films, but, sort of in...
Breaking Dawn.
Breaking Dawn, episode 2, is it? Part 2. Anyway, the baby's really tearing her up inside.
Right.
And it made me think of that when the fingernail came off, because Bella starts, wasting away because of the baby that she's carrying. So it kind of had parallels to Twilight there as well.
There you go.
Yeah. So speaking of Bella, so the evil Isabella in this film.
Whoa, what a segue.
Isabella.
So this Isabella, she...
was Australian.
She's an Italian-Australian actress. And we were just having a discussion while we were watching the film around the fact that she's got a noticeable Australian accent. And the question was, is she someone they brought from Australia in the same way that Cecilia came from America, or is it just coincidental that she has the accent? But the other interesting thing when we're just talking about names and what they mean is Isabella means devoted to God.
Golly.
So were obviously her actions, and she very much wanted to be the vessel.
Yeah.
She was desperate. She said she'd been there for 7 years or whatever it was, and obviously they had tried and failed with her.
Yeah.
So, her devotion was obviously
flawed.
Yeah, so that was one thing that hadn't really occurred to me with other viewings, I guess, was that she definitely knew what was going on. She had been a vessel.
Yeah.
And she didn't have crucifixes burnt into her feet or was tied down to a chair or killed or anything.
That's because she was keen for it. She was like, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's right.
Which made me actually think, what would have happened to Sister Cecilia if she had been okay with it?
Nothing.
That's the thing. Would she have lived happily ever after?
Well, the baby failed, which, if the baby obviously is we don't actually know that.
Well, if she delivered successfully, whatever that baby looked like at the end, if she delivered successfully going, I love my baby, would it have been a completely different scenario for her?
She would have been confined to the convent, I guess, and she would have had to have drank the Kool-Aid and been all in,
that would be interesting.
What's her name? Isabella was.
Yeah. But then again, is the whole point of that convent for that purpose? So would the whole thing shut up shop?
Yeah.
I did want to we did touch on the failed. There's a scene in this movie where she finally discovers the lab, and there's all the failed kind of previous attempts in jars.
Yeah.
and it made me think that was such a lost opportunity. If there were living failed experiments down in the catacombs there in the last scene, that would have been so good. Maybe a little trashy, but so that's a lost opportunity.
Like It's Alive, just
just like ghoulish, like inbred sort of failed Jesus, resurrected Jesus babies down in the catacombs, trying to chase down.
A little bit like Wizard of Oz type of like, go my minions, go my pretties.
Yeah. Oh no, not even like they're locked down there, hidden. No. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that would have been cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've come to that point.
No, I've got one more thing I wanted to bring up. The red-faced nuns.
Yes, please.
Doing some digging about this just to try and, yet again, this is a diving deep, maybe reading too much into things, but hey, when you're going to watch a movie 3 times, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So, in the Catholic Church, red is used to represent the Holy Spirit, or also the zeal of faith and the martyrdom. So essentially, it's considered the blood of Christ. And the blood of Christ is used in religious ceremonies as a redemptive thing, as a salvation thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was having a look into the red.
Yeah.
So at the beginning when Cecilia first takes her vows, Tedeschi's wearing a red sash.
Yeah.
The cardinal is all in red. But then when Isabella was pushed off the building, she's revealed to have a completely red face like the nuns. And then at the end, Cecilia has a completely red face from the blood. So it's very much a theme, that red-faced element. And if you're thinking that the blood is showing faith, if that red is showing redemption, being washed clean, so to speak, you can probably see those red nuns being the most devout and the most zealous. But potentially you're also seeing Isabella, I'm inclined to believe Isabella may have jumped off the building and that red face was kind of showing her salvation, if you will. That blood of Christ washing her clean.
You are reaching.
But you think so. Then Cecilia at the end, she's covered in Father Tedeschi's blood.
Yes.
And that same thing because, then she is successful. She's redeemed. She comes out of that tunnel birth
washed
canal
clean
sort of thing.
with the blood of the lamb.
Yeah, they clearly have red deliberately in points in the film.
Yeah.
And that's a spin. That's sort of what I was looking at.
Yeah, cool.
So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess there's something in that. There's this, you could have the symbolism there.
Yeah.
I did hate that. Well, it occurred to me that those red-faced nuns, they're just kind of there. Why doesn't she ask someone? What's up with these cultist red-faced nuns? What is that about? She doesn't ask anyone.
Well, there's a lot of that in the film. She just kind of goes along with it.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, this seems really weird.
She was one of the meek.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
that's right. And her friend, who dies for it, unfortunately, is the only one that's going, hang on, my friend here is pregnant. No one knows how. No one asks the R question, was she raped? Like, even she herself doesn't ask that. Why am I pregnant? They're all just like, oh, it's Immaculate Conception. Well, I guess that's what happens when you're in it.
Yeah. I think, with the red colour, all of that, red's also a colour of power as well. So I think there's an element of that. I saw the red-faced women, yes, very devout, but almost as executioners. Like whenever they appeared, they were either killing people or maybe suggesting people jump off buildings.
But the power elements there too, yeah, absolutely.
So it's a power thing. And
you could actually attach that to Isabella taking her power.
Yeah.
And even for Cecilia taking her power.
Well, I think with Cecilia, it could be the power thing. And you want to sort of go, washed clean in the blood of the lamb. However, Tedeschi was essentially the devil in this piece. Even to the point, where it's like, well, if it's not God's will, why doesn't God stop us? Like, they're devilish. They're not working with God. So she's covered in his blood, but that's not God's blood. But I think she redeems herself through killing the baby.
Although Tedeschi, as we were saying, fully believed in what he was doing.
Yeah, but he was still, well, there's another quote in there somewhere, like, I can't remember the exact thing, but the devil will appear lit up in the light of Christ, essentially. That's a terrible
the Bible verse.
Yeah.
That's basically how it goes.
Yeah. So he'll appear like he's, a man of God or
the
whatever.
wolf in sheep's clothing concept.
Absolutely. So, and I think he fulfilled that role, whether he was, and that could just be through trying to do things through secular means rather than pure religion. But yes, my goodness, there's a lot in there. A lot that you can keep digging down and having a look at. So I think for me, to sort of sum up my sort of thoughts around it, I still think it's a solid film. It's a strong film. I think it's held its ground for me. I would still put it probably, having said that, I may reduce it down to a 7, just because it definitely has a good, strong story there. There's a lot to be learned, and I loved the photography and the sound and, sort of like the deeper elements. Yeah. So I think it's a strong, solid 7 from me. 7 habits from me. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I'm going to have to drop my score by half a habit to 7. I think if you get a 7, me giving a 7 is pretty good for a movie like this. That's just sort of saying it's a good, strong, acceptable, watchable movie. It's probably a little kind of hedging your bets, I guess. I don't think you need to watch it 3 times. But yeah, it's a good one. It looks good. It's great looking, well produced, well acted. It's got some cool scenes in it.
Absolutely.
For a mainstream movie, it's got some pretty hectic stuff.
And just to interject, that ending of the film is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the ending's cool.
The ending is an absolute 10 out of 10.
Well, we've ruined it, I guess, with spoilers, I guess.
Oh, I don't know.
I think we've ruined it before. So.
Yeah, but that's an
Hang on,
absolute...
let's not ruin it. Spoiled it. Yeah. It's not ruined.
Yeah, it's not ruined.
That's right.
There's a difference between ruin and spoiling. But yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 ending. Absolutely.
Yes, just while we're talking about the shooting of it all, we just want to thank Elijah Christian again for contributing to our podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
For me, look, I think it still sits solidly as a 7 for me. It's a really good film. I think the intention the filmmakers had was to sort of try and make a movie that wasn't going to necessarily age that quickly, and I don't think this one will.
No.
Like, I think, you could watch this in 10 years' time and it would still hold up quite comfortably. I do like the fact that it leaves things open to have some discussion. It probably is the sort of film most people will watch, and, you can either watch it on a very surface level, I guess, and just enjoy the ups and downs. But there is a bit more, as we've been discussing, that is there, maybe by choice, maybe by no. There's no doubt the Roe versus Wade stuff informs that.
Yeah.
And that will probably tie into what we're talking about next, I guess, about other films and other things you might enjoy. But yeah, for me, it's still sitting as a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming off the back of this film, if somebody was interested in this, what other sort of films or books would you recommend that you know of?
Well, what came out, basically, it's almost a twin film to this one, was The First Omen. A lot of similar themes, a bit of a similar look. I think they came out within about a month of each other. So that's also another film that very much was informed by Roe versus Wade and talks a lot about the role that the society, I think, plays and the pressures that can be on someone who is pregnant and not sure if they want to actually continue with their pregnancy. So that's certainly something. It's got that religious feel to it as well. So, look, I think probably Immaculate is a little bit better than The First Omen, but it's certainly something you could enjoy watching as well.
Okay. I think for me, I mean, I probably have, mentioned in previous episodes as well, and I think the other films that we've drawn parallels with, you've got Twilight, or you've also got films.
So are you recommending people watch the Twilight series?
If you like this, watch Twilight.
If you like this, watch Twilight.
I don't know.
Or this whole series. No, Suspiria, Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
There, if you really love the visuals of this film and the feel of it, you've got other films such as The Omen, the original one that's got beautiful Italian countryside in there. Any folk horrors, I don't know if you guys want to interject, because sometimes it has that feeling of, what is it, blood on Satan's claw or something, that whole...
Yeah, it's kind of,
that whole vibe.
A little bit of that.
When...
Any of those Barber films, like the catacombs at the end and stuff, that's all pretty ghoulish and gothic almost. Not, Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of got those sort of vibes. So they would be things that I would.
And also, Is it The Devils? Is it Ken Loach, the movie?
Ken Russell.
Ken Russell. This is a recommendation for me because I haven't actually seen it. But that's supposed to be good. And that's about kind of religious zealotry, I guess, and
Yeah.
naughty nuns.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting space, isn't it? Because Rosemary's Baby, I know that the director was a big fan of that film and how Polanski shot that. And I think that definitely is a good parallel. And it's interesting even from the messaging, I guess, that was happening in society when that film was made in the late 60s to where we're sitting now in 2025 and how, sadly, some of the similar conversations are still being had.
Yeah.
So, look, that's my personal opinion. Obviously, people out there in listener land will have different views about that debate. But it's certainly interesting that 50 years later that conversation is still being had.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But there certainly is the folk horror vibe, no doubt, that because there is that element of a closed society aware of something that's not 100% right that some outsider stumbles across.
Exactly.
Oh, and Jurassic Park, messing with nature, with the DNA of ancient objects.
So we're telling people if you liked Immaculate, watch Twilight and Jurassic Park.
I'm saying if you like Jurassic Park, watch this because it's like messing with science.
But no
asking whether you, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It applies to many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yes. All right.
So,
a couple of quick numbers. So we've already done some of the stats on this one. The most updated figure that we're looking at, so box office globally for Immaculate is being reported currently now as 35 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's against a budget of 9 million. If you allow for probably 4 to 5 million in sort of promotional cost and advertising costs, so that's taking you to 13, 14 mil.
Yeah.
It's a pretty healthy box office.
Indeed.
So quite a successful film. So really good for Sydney as sort of her first step into producing.
Yeah.
And that relationship she's got with Michael Moen will continue there, I would imagine.
Yeah.
We've given our ratings. IMDb's got about 53,000 ratings at the moment for the film, and it's sitting just about 6.
Okay.
So we're probably slightly bigger fans. So
yeah.
always do encourage you, if you do watch the film, take the time to put a rating onto IMDb because it's always good to help other people find films that they may also like.
Indeed. And if you want to watch this film, it's available on pretty much all of the streaming services in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to find. And also, speaking of reviews
and
ratings, if you've liked this podcast,
there you go. I love it.
Please don't forget to like it, to make sure that you're following us, you're subscribed. You follow us over on Facebook at Sinister Siblings. And please share this with your friends, because the more that people share it, the more we can get out to other people who are also interested. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Arrivederci.
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 Yeah.